Tonight, breaking news right now as we come on the air, the controversial key vote on vaccines involving America's children. Just moments ago, the American Academy of Pediatricians blasting the panel, calling the committee making these new recommendations, quote, illegitimate. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy's newly formed hand-picked advisory committee, which includes vaccine skeptics, and what they decided so far. Also tonight, the fierce reaction, Disney ABC suspending late-night host Jimmy Kimmel, quote, indefinitely. After pressure from the Trump administration, FCC Chairman Brendan Carr appointed by President Trump and his threat after Kimmel's comments after Charlie Kirk's death, calling on stations not to carry Kimmel. Well, tonight, the new outrage from some saying this is caving to political pressure and that this is an assault on free speech. And tonight, what President Trump is now suggesting the FCC do next. Tonight, new reporting here in the brutal shooting of 5 police officers in Pennsylvania. 3 officers killed, 2 in critical condition tonight. And late today here, what the DA revealed. Just in tonight, the jet off the runway crashing into a home, first responders racing to the scene. The body found in the singer's trunk, identified as a teenage girl missing for more than a year. Tonight, investigators now at the home where that singer was staying, removing several items. Tonight, President Trump returning to the White House after his state visit to the UK, revealing Vladimir Putin has let him down, as Britain's Prime Minister says we must stand together on Ukraine. Back in the U.S. tonight, a man on a roller coaster dying after the ride, the ME finding multiple blunt impact injuries. But what the medical examiner is also saying tonight. Also, Made in America is back tonight, and we take you to Little Havana right here in Miami. Tonight, a mother's dream come true, the ice cream now being shipped all over the country. Her own grandmother inspiring the most popular flavor. And the big news tonight involving a star pitcher. What a run it's been.
From ABC News, this is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir. Reporting tonight from Miami.
And good evening tonight from South Florida. We begin tonight here with the breaking news. The controversial CDC meeting and vote just a short time ago affecting millions of children and families across this country. A CDC advisory panel voting on new recommendations for child vaccinations from measles to hepatitis B to COVID. The panel deciding now whether to restrict or narrow guidelines for vaccines that have long been recommended for children in this country. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. handpicking many members of this panel. They have just voted tonight to separate the chickenpox vaccine from the MMR vaccine for measles, mumps, rubella. The shots used to be given together. Now they're recommending otherwise. And just a short time ago, the American Academy of Pediatrics blasting the panel, saying you should disregard anything that comes from this committee. ABC's Steve Osunsami leading us off tonight at the CDC in Atlanta.
There are strong words tonight from the Academy of Pediatrics to every parent in America.
This committee is illegitimate.
As the newly appointed CDC advisory panel in Atlanta was weighing changes to 2 children's vaccines, the nation's leading pediatric organization was telling parents not to listen to whatever they said.
I say you should disregard anything that comes from this committee.
This evening, they've decided to separate the chickenpox vaccine from the widely used combination vaccine that fights the measles, mumps, rubella, meaning that children could need another shot. They're also debating the hepatitis vaccine suggested for every newborn in America, a health policy that began more than 30 years ago. They could decide as soon as tomorrow that the shot will no longer be recommended for children this young.
They don't seem to care about the actual science. They seem to care about promoting false claims and myths and rumors and junk science.
The changes are coming from the new advisors picked by Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy, a longtime vaccine skeptic who filled the panel with several members who share his feelings. Just yesterday, his former head of the CDC was at Congress arguing that she was fired because she wouldn't rubber stamp changes to the childhood vaccine schedule that her boss wanted.
I believe preventable diseases will return, and I believe that we will have our children harmed for things that we know they do not need to be harmed by.
Back in the early 1980s, as many as 20,000 babies were infected with hepatitis B each year, usually passed down from infected parents, a lifelong infection of the liver that often leads to cancer or liver disease. Dr. Sue Wang was born before newborns were getting the shot and unknowingly contracted hepatitis B from a family member. She says the vaccine helped spare her children.
For me, I'm a mother with 4. I have hepatitis B. I cannot tell you how relieved I am that my babies got Hep B vaccine, and all 4 of them are hepatitis B free.
So the question, of course, is why the need for these changes? Well, the panel says that by removing the chickenpox vaccine from the others, you reduce the potential risks or side effects associated with the vaccine. Tomorrow is the big vote to consider whether the country will stop giving the hepatitis B vaccine to newborns. David?
Much more to come on this. Steve Osunsami leading us off tonight. Steve, thank you. We move on now to the fierce reaction tonight with Disney ABC suspending late-night host Jimmy Kimmel, quote, indefinitely. After pressure from the Trump administration, FCC Chairman Brendan Carr appointed by President Trump and his threat after Kimmel's comments after Charlie Kirk's death, calling on stations not to carry Kimmel. Well, tonight, outrage from some saying this is caving to political pressure and an assault on free speech. Here's ABC's Elizabeth Schulze tonight.
Tonight, the decision to indefinitely suspend Jimmy Kimmel Live, a show that's been running for more than 20 years, is sparking a fierce debate. Disney ABC pulling the late-night show off the air last night after pressure from the Trump administration, following Kimmel's comments during his opening monologue Monday about the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
FCC Chairman Brendan Carr, who was appointed by President Trump, blasting Kimmel's comments on a conservative podcast Wednesday, accusing Kimmel of misrepresenting the ideology of Kirk's killer and saying local broadcasters should stop airing Kimmel's show.
We can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to change conduct, to take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or, there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead.
Hours later, Nexstar and Sinclair, two of the biggest owners of network TV affiliates, said they would not air Kimmel's show. Nexstar is in merger talks with another media company in a deal that would require Brendan Carr's approval at the FCC. Disney ABC then pausing Kimmel's show indefinitely, drawing outrage from some who say this is caving to political pressure and that this is about protecting freedom of speech. This was not the first time Kimmel addressed Kirk's murder, posting on Instagram just hours after Kirk was shot, "Can we just for one day agree that it is horrible and monstrous to shoot another human? On behalf of my family, we send love to the Kirks and to all the children, parents, and innocents who fall victim to senseless gun violence." Tonight, President Trump, on his return from the state visit in the UK, now suggesting the FCC should take licenses away from broadcasters that are repeatedly critical of him.
They give me only bad publicity or press. I mean, they're getting a license. I would think maybe their license should be taken away. It will be up to Brendan Carr.
A move that would be at odds with an executive order the president signed on day one in office, pledging to protect free speech.
And I have stopped all government censorship and brought back free speech in America. It's back.
Kimmel's suspension comes just months after CBS announced it was canceling the Stephen Colbert Show, CBS saying it was purely a financial decision. But Colbert, like Kimmel, was a vocal critic of President Trump. And overnight, the president suggesting NBC go after its late-night hosts Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers, posting, "Do it, NBC."
David, no word tonight from our parent company, Disney ABC, about Jimmy Kimmel being off the air indefinitely and if and when he'll return. Meantime, up on Capitol Hill today, some Democrats are calling for FCC Chairman Carr to resign, and some want him to testify about freedom of speech. The Republican House Speaker, who has defended free speech, said today that it's up to companies to decide what to do with their own programs. David.
Elizabeth Schulze in Washington tonight. Elizabeth, thank you. This evening here, new reporting in the brutal shooting of 5 police officers in Pennsylvania. 3 officers were killed, 2 are in critical condition. And late today, what the DA revealed about this brutal attack. Here's Mola Lengi.
Tonight, new details in the brutal ambush that authorities say left 3 Pennsylvania law enforcement officers dead and 2 critically injured.
There is one motive that is clear for everything, and that is the hateful scourge of domestic violence.
Yesterday afternoon, authorities say they were attempting to serve an arrest warrant for Matthew Ruth, facing charges of stalking his ex-girlfriend and prowling around her home with an AR-style rifle the night before. Authorities returning to the home in North Codorus Township, about an hour south of Harrisburg, locating the suspect, who, they say, ambushed the officers, spraying them with gunfire.
The actor repeatedly fired at the officers with multiple rounds, from an AR-15 styled rifle with a suppressor.
2 officers transported to the hospital in critical condition. 1 seen here, transported by medevac. The shootout continuing. The suspect shot and killed by police. 3 officers later dying from their injuries.
Detective Sergeant Cody Becker, Detective Mark Baker, and Detective Isaiah Emenheiser were all killed.
Overnight, a solemn procession for the fallen officers, remembered tonight as heroes.
Well, David, authorities discovering that the suspect began his rampage by killing his ex-girlfriend's family dog. And we should also note that serving warrants is known to be one of the most dangerous tasks for law enforcement officers, David.
No question about that. Mola Lenghi tonight. Mola, thank you. Now to Los Angeles, to the body found in the trunk of a Tesla belonging to a well-known singer. The body identified as a teenage girl missing for more than a year. Well, tonight, investigators are now at the home where that singer had been staying, removing several items. And here's Trevor Ault.
Tonight, law enforcement sources say the LAPD spent hours searching the Hollywood Hills home of star singer David after they say the remains of a missing teen girl were found inside the performer's Tesla. Detectives removing multiple items from the home overnight, including a computer. Police say the Tesla had been abandoned not far from there.
It's a little weird to see a car that I haven't seen here for a long time. Had a big dent on it, had a Texas plate on it. So all a little odd.
On Wednesday, the LA Medical Examiner announced the remains in the Tesla's front trunk belonged to Celeste Rivas. This image confirmed as her by police. She went missing from this Southern California neighborhood more than a year ago when she was just 13. The medical examiner is now trying to determine her cause and time of death, saying Rivas had a tattoo on her right index finger reading shh. And while that tattoo is not uncommon, photos appear to show David with a similar tattoo on his finger. The singer's not been charged with any crime and has not made any comments so far. Tonight, David's scheduled performance at the Grammy Museum next week has been removed from the site. It comes hours after a Seattle concert was also abruptly canceled.
And law enforcement sources say much of this case hinges on the medical examiner determining a cause of death. But given the state of the body, that is proving to be quite difficult. David.
All right, Trevor Ault tonight. Trevor, thank you. Tonight, President Trump returning to the White House after a state visit to the UK, revealing today that Vladimir Putin has let him down. As Britain's prime minister says, we must stand together on Ukraine. Mary Bruce traveling with the president.
Tonight, a month after he met with Russian President Putin in Alaska to broker an end to the war in Ukraine, President Trump admitting Putin let him down.
He's let me down. He's really let me down.
The White House said in Alaska, Putin promised Trump he would sit down with Ukrainian President Zelensky. That hasn't happened. And Russia's attacks on Ukraine have only intensified, Russia even launching drones into NATO territory. Tonight, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer saying the U.S. and NATO allies need to meet the moment.
We have to put extra pressure on Putin. And it's only when the president has put pressure on Putin that he's actually shown any inclination to move.
But Trump today unwilling to commit. Though he has threatened Russia with new sanctions, he hasn't gone through with them. And now Trump seeming to move the goalposts, saying the U.S. will only act if NATO countries stop buying oil from Russia.
I'm willing to do other things, but not when the people that I'm fighting for are buying oil from Russia.
And David, one other note here, the president today announcing he wants the U.S. to regain Bagram Air Base in Afghanistan, which the Taliban has controlled since the U.S. withdrew its forces back in 2021. But he gave no details on how he plans to make this happen. David?
Yeah, that made headlines for sure. Mary Bruce in London tonight. Mary, thank you. We move on now back here at home to images just in tonight. A small jet skidding off the runway, smashing into a home outside Paducah, Kentucky. First responders racing to the scene late today. One person on the plane, at least one person in the home. Incredibly, no one was hurt. The twin-engine Cessna had taken off from St. Louis. The FAA tonight says it is investigating. When we come back here, the news just in. A pitching legend tonight with a major announcement. We'll share it. Also, a man on a roller coaster ride here in Florida dying after the ride. The ME finding multiple blunt impact injuries. And what the ME is also saying about this tonight. And Made in America is back tonight. We take you right here to Little Havana in Miami. Tonight, a mother's ice cream dream come true. That ice cream now being sent all over the country. And we'll have a bit of a taste test coming up here. Don't go away.
So we
Tonight, authorities are investigating the death of a man who became unresponsive while on a roller coaster at Universal Theme Park in Orlando. The 32-year-old was riding the Stardust Racers roller coaster, the ME now determining he died from multiple blunt impact injuries. They say it was accidental. The ride now closed. Park officials say they are cooperating. When we come back tonight, the big news involving a star pitcher just in and Made in America tonight. It could be your dessert this evening. To the index tonight, the end of an era for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Longtime pitching ace Clayton Kershaw will retire at the end of the season after 18 seasons with the team. A three-time Cy Young Award winner, MVP, and more than 3,000 career strikeouts with the Dodgers, a lock for the Hall of Fame. When we come back tonight, our Made in America is back, and tonight the ice cream Made in America now being sent all over this country. So we went to find it here. Finally tonight, we're here in South Florida to celebrate a new partnership, the new ABC Miami, Channel 18. We're teaming up with WSVN now, and you know us, we don't come to town without hunting for something made in America. And this one tonight is really sweet. Tonight, our Made in America takes us right to the Little Havana neighborhood here in Miami, full of culture, of history, and full of famous ice cream made in America. Homemade Cuban ice cream? Let's look for Susie. The Azucar ice cream shop, Azucar, Spanish for sugar. The owner, Susie Battle. I saw that we're hiring right on the front door.
We're always hiring.
They're hiring, already employing more than 24 workers across 2 ice cream shops and a small factory 15 minutes away. They now ship their ice cream across the country, and they're opening a 3rd shop next year. It all began 14 years ago when Susie was laid off, so she turned to a family dream. You lost your job.
Yes.
And you're trying to raise your kids.
Yes.
And you thought, what am I going to do? Yes. Susie's children asked, why not make ice cream? Susie's own mother and her grandparents had instilled a love for homemade ice cream for generations. You do this with your grandparents and your parents in mind.
Yes. This is all inspired by them. It's all of the flavors are inspired by them.
Wow, here we go. Their most popular flavor, Abuela Maria.
This is Abuela Maria. This is guava, cream cheese, and Maria crackers, and it is a trademarked ice cream.
Abuela Maria.
Yes.
In honor of your abuela, Isabel.
Yes, in honor of my abuela.
Wow. The Café con Leche. Café con Leche.
Café con Leche.
And this one, inspired by a Cuban singer. She calls it the Willie Chirino.
His name's Willie Chirino. So we made Willie Chirino. It's bourbon with 2 different types of cherries.
Wow. Amazing. She tells me neighbors here at Little Havana have been helping with the recipes for years. She started with a dozen, now 160 recipes. This recipe came with a lot of help from people right here in the neighborhood.
A lot of community
weighing
help.
in. All right.
Yes.
Montecado. It's delicious. Not far from here, the factory. Eddie measuring the ice cream mix, the milk from Florida dairy farms, along with cream, lemon, and a few secret ingredients, local fruit. Stirring it up and pouring it into the ice cream maker. 7 minutes later, it's ready. Silvio making mint chip, layering in the chocolate so there's a chip in every bite. While back at the shop, the customers lining up. Their smiles say it all. New hires Joshua and Perla scooping the ice cream, Janesi hand making every waffle cone. And it turns out the operations manager, Pat De La Rosa, has been Susie's best friend since elementary school. You're the best friend from school.
I am.
From childhood.
Since we're 10 years old.
10 years old. Something
Yes.
must be working with this friendship. Susie's son Tommy worked here growing up, and he's still here. Your mom said some kids were going to parties, my kids came and scooped ice cream.
Oh yeah, I mean it was worth it when you get paid in 3 scoops of ice cream.
Tommy picking up the local fruit. He's in charge of the social media, getting the word out about Mom's company. Made in America, grown in America.
Eaten in America.
I love that. I love that.
Made in America!
We love those 3 words. And if you can't make it to Little Havana here in South Florida, you can go to Susie's website, azucaricecream.com, to order the ice cream right there. By the way, tonight, the 2020 special on Robert Redford at 10 p.m. Eastern on ABC, tomorrow on Disney Plus and Hulu. I'm David Muir. Thank you for finding us here on the new ABC Miami Channel 18. It's doing great. And I'll see you back here tomorrow night. Good night.
David Muir, the most watched newscast in America. And now, ABC's World News Tonight has won the Emmy for Best Live News Program for the 3rd year in a row.